Hello, and welcome to our creative writing workshop. I'm Rachel Plummer. I'm a poet from Scotland, and normally I run creative writing groups for children and teenagers at the Scottish Poetry Library. Since we're all at home for the time being, I thought I'd make my workshops available for free online for any families who might find them useful. This is the third workshop in our series aimed at children under the age of 12. I've got another series on this channel for teens. You don't have to do the workshops in order, and you don't have to do every exercise. Feel free to skip bits, pause, go back, whatever makes it easier for you. The only materials you'll need are something to write with and on, which could be a pen and paper, or it could be a computer, or you could dictate to someone who can write it down for you, whatever you find easiest. We'll start with a warm-up, so let's get going. For our warm-up today, I want you to imagine a genie has promised to grant you 3 wishes. What wishes will you choose? They can be anything at all, but you only get 3, no wishing from all wishes. Pause the video and write your 3 wishes down. Have you written your 3 wishes? That's great. We're going to use these wishes for our first longer writing exercise. I want you to imagine that one of these wishes has come true. What do you think would happen next? You can write this as a story, or maybe you could draw it as a comic. In the description of this video, you'll find a link to a free downloadable comic template. But if you've not got a printer available, you can draw your own template on a plain piece of paper. Take about 15 to 20 minutes to do this task. If you finish it in less time, that's fine, and it's also fine to take a little bit longer if you're not quite finished, but try not to let it go on for too long. Pause the video now and write your comic or story. How did that go? I bet your wish would be really fun if it came true. Next, we're going to write a special kind of poem called an acrostic poem. Do you know what an acrostic poem is? Have you written one before? An acrostic poem is a poem where the subject of the poem is written in big letters down the left-hand side of the page, and these letters make the first letter of each line of the poem. To show you what I mean, I've made an acrostic poem about a tree. Can you see that letters T-R-E-E make the first letter of each line? The lines themselves can be as long or short as you like with an acrostic poem. To find a subject for your acrostic poem, I'd like you to go to a window in your house and look out. What can you see? I bet you can see all sorts of things. Choose something you can see out of your window to be the subject of your poem. Okay, press pause now and write your acrostic poem, then come back. How did that go? Did you enjoy writing your acrostic poem? Over the coming week, I wonder if you can think of any other things to write acrostic poems about. You can illustrate them with pictures, stickers, glitter or paint, and I would absolutely love to see the results. You can ask a grown-up to email me a picture of your poem at writewithrachel@gmail.com or on social media with the hashtag writingwithrachel. Here is one of our young writers reading her voice poem from last week's workshop about a phoenix. I thought this was fantastic, and I think you'll really enjoy it too.
Squasqua, Piera la manzi, zigzi. Plinze totoro, tui tui, Piera, si, tu e, genu.
For our next exercise, we'll be using the same subject as in the previous acrostic poem. Mine was about a tree, so I'm going to stick with that and write about a tree this time too. Only now we're going to write a different kind of poem. This one's called a cinquain. Cinquains are a lot of fun to write, but they're a bit more technical because they involve listening to the number of syllables in each word. A syllable is a part of a word that contains a single vowel sound, kind of like one unit of a word. My name, Rachel, has 2 syllables. Can you hear them? Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. How many syllables are in your name? See if you can count them now. Try to think of a word with just 1 syllable. Then a word with 2 syllables. How about 3 syllables? Can you think of one? If you're still not sure you understand syllables, that's okay. There's a simplified version of the cinquain exercise that I'll talk you through in a moment. But if you're okay with syllables, we can think of a cinquain like this. A cinquain is a poem that has a certain pattern of syllables. On the first line, there are 2 syllables. On the second line, there are 4 syllables. On the third line, 6 syllables. On the fourth line, 8 syllables. And on the 5th and final line, there are 2 syllables again. Does that make sense? I've written you an example cinquain about my tree. Ash tree, scattering seeds into my garden all day. What are you waiting for? Spring has arrived. Can you see how the syllable pattern works? 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Now, if you're finding syllables just a bit too tricky, here's a simplified version of the cinquain you can use. In this simplified version, the first line should have 1 word. The second line has 2 words. The third line has 3 words. The fourth line has 4 words. And the 5th and final line goes back to 1 word again. You can use this form if you're not sure about counting syllables, or even if you just prefer to. Remember, the goal of all of this is just to have fun while making some art, so do what makes you feel best. Pause the video to write your cinquain, then come back. How did your cinquain go? Did you enjoy writing a poem with this form, or was it difficult to make the lines fit? Now look at both your poems side by side and compare them. You should have 2 poems with the same theme. Are they quite similar to each other, or are they very different? Often, the form of what we're writing has a big effect on what the final piece looks like, maybe even more so than the subject. If there's something you'd really like to write about, play around with different ways of writing about that topic until you find the one that works best. Remember, if you'd like to share your work, you can ask a grown-up to email me at writewithrachel@gmail.com or to post on social media with the hashtag writingwithrachel. And if you'd like to keep up to date with new workshops, you can click on the subscribe button for this channel. For now, I hope you have a safe and positive week, and happy writing.